What's up, Milwaukee 90 fans? Normally, this is a Spaces week, but because it is Juneteenth, we couldn't let this man not be on camera for this special week we have coming up, especially for NCFC fans. Um, so, if you don't know, my name's Ebony. 1/3 or 1/5 of the Walking 90 broadcast crew. With me today is the one and only Nick Holliday from NCFC. Nick, tell the people hello.
What's up, guys? Thanks, Evan, for having me on. I'm excited to talk to you guys today.
Yeah. We don't want to take up too much time. I know you've got a big rivalry game this weekend coming up. Let's just start with how are you doing? It's been a while. And how are you developing over these last couple of games?
Yeah. I'm doing great. I know it's been a while since I've last been on, but I think a lot has happened for me personally. So I last came on. I've played 2 games so far. I've tied one of them and I've won the other one. Keep my first professional clean sheet. So that was exciting. So I think my development has been great. I've progressed a lot over the last couple games I've played, and even just in training when I'm not playing. I'm still learning a lot from the guys, and being around this atmosphere is definitely good for my development. And I'm excited for the team as we're in a good spot right now, being in third place.
You mentioned third place. Yes, we are there. We've played 9 games. We are currently tied with Chattanooga and Greenville and Charlotte. We've got a big game coming up this weekend versus Charlotte, big rival. How are you feeling about this game going into it?
Yeah, it's definitely very exciting. I mean, I think I'm in a different position than a lot of the guys. I think me, Cole, and Britton are in a little bit of a different position. I think we all grew up playing against Charlotte Independence Academy teams. So I know some of the guys that are on the first team that moved up from the academies. So I'm like friends with them. So I think it's a little bit more, a little bit more rivalry for us since we've experienced before between just playing with them in the academy. I think it's definitely just a new experience for NCFC in general. I think Charlotte's new to this league. Our rivals have been like Richmond and Greenville. They're both in different states. So I think Charlotte being our own state, we want to be like, okay, yeah, we're the king. We're the king of this state. So it's definitely a little bit of a different rivalry and a little more hungry going on in the locker.
You bring up rivalry. Your supporters group, Oak City supporters, they're dubbing it the homecoming week. Uh, you know, it's big. It's our like you said, it's our first game against Charlotte in League One. What are you hoping to gain from this game?
Yeah, I think we all know that if we win this game, we go into first place. I mean, that's definitely what we're aiming for. Because we all want to be in first. And I think it's also just, I think it's a rivalry game. You look at it as just another game to win, and also just like check mark on the list. The first ever meeting between Charlotte Independence and NCFC in League One. You want me the one to say that yeah we won and yeah we took home the crown. There's a crown we taken home. That's what we're looking forward to this game.
And it's also a big game because it is Juneteenth. We're having a big festival at our stadium. Oh, look, Chip is here. There we go.
Hello. How are you guys doing today?
Good. Um, so it's Juneteenth. We're having a big festival playing Charlotte. What does the day of Juneteenth mean to you?
Yeah, I think Juneteenth is a holiday that's not really widely just known about. I think it's still being brought into light. I think the younger generation is still getting still learning about it. So I think having a festival before the game is a great idea. And I think NCFC is taking steps to making sure it's like more widely known. We have special scarves made. I can see one behind me. Don't know if that's released yet, but well, now it's released.
It is now.
Now it is. That some of us will be wearing special shirts for the game on Saturday. Also, don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but now you know.
You said it already.
Yeah, too late now. But I think it's a holiday that's gaining some like rhythm to it. I think it should be talked about more.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned like you're having special scarves, special shirts. I think they are released. Just saying. What was the process going into making those? Because in the press release, it said that you guys are going to be working together to make it. What was that like for you?
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. I think personally for me, just being an African American, be able to do something that like helps my people is like a real honor. I think the club deciding to like, hey, we're gonna do something special. I think a lot of teams will do like a wristband or like a black band around their arm or something, but we're taking a step to like make something specific just for this, like a scarf and a shirt. So I think that's really cool because that spreads to everyone. Anyone can wear a shirt, anyone can wear a scarf. So it's not like we're just doing this, just for Juneteenth, or just for this month. You can wear that shirt whenever you want. You wear it next year for all I care, or in February or January. So it's just saying that we're looking at this more than just a day. It's like the start of a new movement.
I mean, that's awesome. So, moving past this Charlotte game, I know, your coach just signed a new extension. How do you hope to move along with him in your development going forward?
Yeah, I think Bradford's 100% deserving of it. I think he's a great coach. I've known him for a couple of years now, just playing through the academy. I think he's full deserving of it. I think he's taught a lot of the guys a lot. We all look up to him as a mentor. So personally, for me, just to keep working with him. I think I had a great season last year under him. I think I'll have a great one this year and next year. So hopefully just to keep developing is my goal and become the best soccer player that I can be. I think he does a great job with bringing the best out of it.
I'm sorry, Chip. I've just been asking all the questions. Do you have questions?
Oh, no, you're good. I'm still running a little late, so I'm trying to figure out where we're at. I guess, Nick, you're one of the young names to watch. There's been a lot of recent transfers from USL Championship up to top leagues in Europe, and you're one of the names that's kind of on the short list. How does one go about kind of being humble with that while still trying to be the best player you can every single day, especially with World Cup coming up in 2026 on home soil?
Yeah, I think personally for me, it's just looking at it day by day. I think it's easy for everyone to get caught up. Okay, or hey, this guy just signed to a team in France for $1 million, or hey, I can be the next guy. I want to be this, I want to be that. But I think for me personally, to stay like just level headed, just looking at the next day and the next game. So right now I'm just focused on Saturday. I'm not focused on what's happening if I move to what's happening when I turn 18 and I can move overseas, and just focus on what I can control. What I can control is the next day and being focused for the next game.
So you mentioned next game, and we spoke about a little bit. This is a brand new position for NCFC. Like, we're in a playoff position at this point. How do you see the team continuing to grow so that they can keep that momentum going to Charlotte and beyond?
Yeah, I think it just has a lot to do with the culture in the locker room. I think we had 6-7 guys were in the locker room last year when we were at our lowest and finishing in 12th place out of 12 teams. It's like we all know what it feels like to be at the very, very bottom, even though it feels like to be at the very, very top. None of us want to feel what we felt last year, which was being in last place. So I think just making sure the message in the locker room is don't get, okay, yeah, we're in third place, is the best we've ever done. Don't get ahead of ourselves here, but know what we've done and the work we've done to get to this far, and just keep progressing. We're not done yet. We want to finish in the top 6 in playoffs, then win the playoffs. So we just stay focused and level-headed. It's a message going on in the locker room right now.
I guess my biggest question is, what's your score? I'm kidding. You don't have to answer that.
For the game on Saturday?
Yeah, but I was kidding. Like, I don't need Hannah emailing me tomorrow.
I'll say a win. I'll say 3 points. I'll leave that.
I can take that.
Well, and I think you always have the real easy cop-out question that also gets people mad. Who are the most exciting fans to play away at in front of? And who has like the worst field or like worst locker room situation in the league?
I have to say, for me, just based off the games I've played, I say the worst fans of Chattanooga, because they're just really close to you. I've played there twice, and I think it's been raining both times. It's just a really ugly game. Ball gets on the turf, and the fans are just yelling at you. The flags going in the background. So that's an interesting environment. Then I I don't want to say the worst locker room. Say the most interesting locker room has to be either Greenville or Tormenta. I think Greenville is kind of just like a high school basketball women's locker room. It's like, as a high schooler, I've experienced high school basketball women's locker. It's just not great. It's not great. Then Tormenta's field has just I've seen some better days.
Yeah, coach is pacing the locker room, yelling at you guys, and right in back of his head's like a "Go Lady Cougs" mural or something.
The shower's right there, the bathroom's right there, the locker's right there. You have one 5x8 bench. I think I'm a little bit spoiled at NCFC with our locker, and that when I go away to other places, I'm like, okay.
You mentioned spoiled because we just changed our turf over, so this will be the first game on it versus Charlotte. What do you think's gonna happen? Like,
I think it's gonna hold up good. I think last week we played on it, it's held up fine. Like with the day after they changed it over, so I think we're, like you said, we're definitely spoiled. I don't know if any other team in the league is changing the field every 3 months or something, how often as we do it. So I think I'm definitely spoiled. I think it'll go fine. Hopefully the rain holds out. It doesn't rain on Saturday.
Oh, it's supposed to rain Saturday? Dang.
I hope not. It rained today during practice, so that would have been pretty sight.
If you can't tell, I'm a Omaha fan by the owl on my background, but I know we change out our field pretty much every game, sometimes to not great effect.
I was kind of surprised you didn't say Omaha because playing on a baseball field, well, they'll get there.
It's not terrible, but I mean, I've seen worse fields. Okay.
I guess you're not like an outfielder, but do you have a preference for grass versus turf? I know, like in the Women's World Cup in 2019, that was a big complaint about a lot of the players that they were playing on turf. Do you really?
Oh, that was 2015.
2015, excuse me.
I'm grass, completely grass. Like grass a lot better.
Which helps in North Carolina because that's all we have. Beautiful turf grass fields. Nick, I don't want to keep you long, so I do want to thank you for coming on with us. Are you on social media? I don't really see you much there, but
I am, yeah.
If you have anything to plug, please do so.
Ooh, okay. All right. On Instagram, I'm Nick Holliday 4, and on Twitter, I'm Nick Holliday GK with a capital G and a capital K.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick, for coming on. I will see you this weekend. I'm hoping for 3 points and all the Charlotte tears. So good luck.
Best of luck, guys.
Thank you for having me on. Thanks. Yeah.
Chip, it's been so long, buddy.
You were on last week. It's only been 1 week.
Was I on?
So
yeah, I was. Oh wow. I'm losing my mind.
Well, it's that weird time of the year where we're in summer, so everything is just going super, super quick. Which, for the listeners who don't know yet, my wife is expecting a child. So it's been really crazy over at Casa de Nelson the last couple of months. So maybe not everyone's feeling that time compression that I'm feeling.
No, I've been working extra long days getting ready for all these toddler vaccines that are about to come out. So having fun over here.
Well, you just want to run through the picks this week and talk about Little Open Cup?
Yeah, let's do it. You know, it's technically our Spaces week, so you know, let's do it like we normally would. Mm-hmm. There were some games that were played, some interesting score lines. My favorite one was the Kickers versus Charlotte game, but I think for you, Chip, it has to be that Union game. So let's just run through them really quick. We had Kickers 4, Charlotte 0. I said you had to out chaos them, and the Kickers did it. So that was a wild one to watch. Forward Madison 3, Greenville 2.
I still can't believe that one.
That was wild. Bravo to Forward. Because, man,
Sometimes contributor when he's not too busy being a dad. Brandon was very quick to point out that technically Greenville scored the most goals in that game.
You know what? True. That is very accurate. But it still counted as an L. I know those feelings. I'm so sorry. NoCo won. South Georgia won. Tormenta having to rescue.
Yeah, that game was really, really weird. And that one was one where both Josh Phelps got shown the red card as well as Ian Cameron got shown the red card. Which, especially looking ahead for their game against Madison, that's going to be tough. You know, Madison is going to be coming off a short week. They're playing Paderborn tonight after they were supposed to play him yesterday. But, you know, and I don't know how seriously they'll take the game. I'm sure a lot of those guys would like the opportunity to show out against Bundesliga players, even if some of them are kind of more fringe Bundesliga players. But, you know, you're probably still going into Georgia tired, and Georgia's missing Phelps, who's been like a real big cog, and they're missing Cameron, who's, you know, been probably one of the better coaches in the league this year. That's going to be really interesting. And, you know, that was all done in like the very end of this game.
Yeah, I'm looking at the stats and I'm like, did that say 90 plus 11?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a little different. Okay.
And, you know, Northern Colorado equalized super late. I think it was in like the 9th minute of stoppage time, 8th minute, something like. So it was already pretty chippy, and it's like it shouldn't have gone that late to begin with, but it did. And then, you know, unfortunately, kind of the wheels came off the bus for Georgia, and you end up having not only do you not end up with the 3 points, but you end up with two very costly no-shows for your game at the upcoming week. And, you know, it's a tough schedule. Like we said in this league this year, we're not, you know, every game matters. Every game counts. You know, you might have been able to look past a team like Madison on the road last year, but you really can't do that this year. Same with, you know, lots of people probably look to the games at Georgia this year as easy wins, and those aren't so easy anymore. And so missing key guys is really, really going to hurt.
Yes. And then a game near to you, Union Omaha 2, FC Tucson 1.
Man, we almost fucked this game up.
I'm seeing that. Buddy.
Yeah, so we were cruising. We got up 2-0. Everything's right with the world. Before at St. Andrews, which is the pub I watch at, I was telling everyone 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. Like I said that on the show. I said that on here. I said that to anybody who would listen. 3-0. Here's Omaha's statement win. We're coming out. We're kicking ass. We're taking names. Then Claudio gets, you know, I'm not going to say he deserved a straight red, but he kind of did a dumb thing. You know, he's playing in front of some of the home fans. He has family from down there. So I don't know if you saw on Twitter, but there was probably 30, 40 Omaha fans there.
Oh, yeah, I saw the picture. Yeah. Like, that was really cool.
So that was pretty sweet because he has a family down there. A couple other players have ties to Arizona. So a couple of them showed up. So I think maybe he just got a little excited playing in front of the home fans. And so that's going to cost us this week against Greenville, which we'll get to in a second. But then we had the own goal, which was really sloppy. And at that point, that's when I was like, crap, this is the karma I get for crowing so much about Omaha. And luckily we held on. You know, we kind of pulled back a lot and controlled the game, but it was a weird feeling going from 2-0 up to all of a sudden the red card. And then it's like, crap, we'll be fine, to them scoring. Then all of a sudden being like, man, we just need to get out of here with 3 points. And
I mean, technically you scored 3. So
true. Much like Greenville, we scored the most points this game. We just happened to win instead of lose.
Right. And then the last one, Chattanooga 2, Central Valley 0.
This game was everything we said would be and more.
Yeah, I'm looking at the stats. I'm like, who didn't have a yellow card that played in this game?
Yeah, and it was tough. It was hard-nosed, and Chattanooga did what they did best last year, and they got 2 really late
goals. Yeah, I was like, okay, no, that tracks.
Especially at the end, Fuego was knocking pretty hard to try to get the draw, and then Galindras went in and pretty deep into stoppage time put one in the back of the net, and it, man, for a Chattanooga, and talk about a swing. Last week on the show, we were like, man, Chattanooga is not a great spot. And now they're back up to second place in the table.
That's how crazy this whole thing has been with like I don't know what to make of this year and this league because there's 4 teams tied for second.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's 4 teams tied for second.
And
that's your entire playoff.
Yeah. And more importantly, last year or this week, we finally got our chaos game of the week, right?
Yeah.
We've been saying it. In every chaos game, we're like, oh, it's chaos game, and hasn't really lived up to billing. And this one did.
It knew we needed a win, which is perfect.
Yeah.
So looking forward, we go into this week. We go into Juneteenth weekend, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Let's start at the top. Kickers versus NoCo. Kickers are coming off a high. They figured out they got their game plan right, and they executed well, and they came away with a 4-0 win. And now they're coming up to a NoCo that is just all over the place. They are draw city at the moment.
Yeah. And they had that double homestead last week. 2 points, which getting 2 points in 2 home games doesn't sound that bad. But then when the league's as tight as it is, you need those points. And they've been, for a team that has had such highs this year with their Open Cup success, they have not really shown it in league play, at least for Omaha. While Omaha was down pretty low, our results were good. We just hadn't played any games. NoCo's played a lot of games, or has also played not very many games, but they haven't won most of those, and they've had some losses. And I don't know. It'll be interesting. It's still a fairly young team. Like I think Richmond has the most returning minutes of any team in the league right this year. I think so.
They brought back a lot of players, including Terzaghi and the Irish Ninja. So
yeah, I mean, I think they have the most Centurions in the league. I think they have 3 or 4 right now, which is
insane.
That's saying a lot.
Which is also unheard of in this league. So
right. So their experience, they know what they're doing. And then NoCo is the other end of the spectrum with them and Fuego, where none of these guys have played with each other before this year. And for both of them, it's been kind of mixed results, but I think NoCo's pretty talented. It'll be interesting. I don't know if they're going to win this game. I don't even think I'm going to say they're going to draw this game, but I think 3-2 for this game.
Okay.
Which I think for NoCo is kind of a moral victory. You're going into Richmond, who's, I think so far has been maybe not the best team, but the most consistent team. If you go in there and show some fight, I think that's not as bad as it seems, especially for a NoCo team that's going to have a super heavy back end of home games. I mean, they've played 2 home games so far, and we're a third of the way through the season.
Right. It's going to be interesting, especially because Kickers are obviously in first after that big win. But the Kickers have played the most. Well, no, not the most. That would be Chatta. They have played the second most amount of games at 10. So we'll see. They came out of that really busy period, and they're coming up to that end of June where we're like, where do you stand? I think everyone kind of was shocked by that result they got versus Charlotte. Let's see if they can carry that momentum over. I kind of agree with you. I think it's going to be that quote unquote moral victory for NoCo, but I think it ends 3-2 or 4-2 for Kickers. And
so this is your game and Nick Holliday's game. So I got to ask you a question.
Yeah.
I know Omaha fans get a lot of shit for saying, oh, this is a rivalry. This is a rivalry. Is North Carolina Charlotte a rivalry?
I think so. I don't know how big a rivalry in USL League One yet because we haven't had that game yet to see what it's like. This rivalry of years past, it was ridiculous. It was a true rivalry. It was we're going into your stadium and we're fucking shit up, and you're coming to our stadium and that's just not happening. And it's just a dogfight between both teams. The players didn't like each other. The fans didn't like each other. It was like that. Think Cascadia, but on a smaller scale because it was NASL or USL,
Yeah.
So at least to us, that's what it felt like.
Right.
So
was there a trophy when you guys were in championship together?
There was. It was called the Southern Derby.
Mm-hmm.
It was the ugliest trophy ever, but damn it if I didn't drink out of it when we won it. So
do you think the Southern Derby trophy makes an appearance on Saturday?
No, because it's in Charleston. Charleston won it last, and then we left, and then Charlotte left.
Oh, that's right. Because it was you two, Richmond, and Charlotte, right?
It was, yeah. Oh no, it was us, Charleston. It was us two, Charleston, Richmond, and then Richmond left. I believe. Don't quote me on this. And then
Richmond left first.
Yeah,
Richmond, then you guys, then Charlotte, then Charleston. What? No one said that.
What?
Interesting.
So the trophy actually stays with Charleston now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know you probably have a big rowdy bus of 12 Charlotte fans coming to rally for this game.
They're ready with their LaCroix and boot shoes. Okay.
Is that kind of the
and all the Charlotte FC jerseys because they got them for knockoff.
You're gonna go there and be like, why are they wearing blue and silver? Their colors are blue and gold.
Yeah, it's like it's close enough.
Are the Charlotte fans pretty preppy people?
They were past, so I haven't met a Charlotte fan yet this year. Thank God. So
first time for everything. Well, and it's a Smothered and Covered Cup game too, right?
It is not. They are not a part of the Smothered and Covered Cup. No. They got to answer. They got to answer DMs first to do that.
How hoity-toity of them.
I think they want to join next year, which is fine. Could be cool. Add a 5th team in there. We'll see.
Yeah. Well,
which reminds me, I need to update that.
Well, especially with like Wilmington seeming to come into the league, and then the rumored teams in Knoxville and Asheville and maybe Charleston and all these others. It's like half the league's going to be in this over half the league's going to be in this cup.
Right. It's like at that point, we'll just section off and we'll just make a Carolinas portion of the league and then everyone else.
Yeah. Do the Smothered and Covered division and everybody else.
Yes. That'll work. But going into form, NCFC just came off of a really gritty draw. They've seemed to be progressing every time they play. The last 5 games, 3 wins, a draw, and a loss. Charlotte just came off of that really bad loss to the Kickers. So who knows what kind of form they're in. I've said it week after week. I don't know what to make of this team. Or have they finally met a team that is going to match them and they got severely handed to them, or was it just a bad game? Don't know for sure. I still can't figure it out. I hope that this game is all vibes and we win 3-0.
And I think Brandon was talking about this when he made his appearance about how Charlotte of the teams in the top definitely looked like the most vulnerable. They've had flashes of brilliance, but they've also not looked super good. They look really lost connecting the defensive third and the attacking third. And I kind of agree with that. And I said of the 3 expansion teams, they were the one that I was kind of picking to be bottom of the heap at the end of the year, which we'll see if that ends up happening. But yeah, I think North Carolina's looked really, really good. They've looked solid. I think both of these teams are kind of big surprises compared to where a lot of us had them in the preseason. And that's a fun story in and of itself. But I think Charlotte's kind of a pretender and North Carolina's kind of the real deal. And so I think North Carolina wins this game, especially if Mbuyu's still out.
That is going to be a big one. But I think the way Garrett and all of our guys is playing and all the guys coming back from international duty, they've got some minutes. Alex is coming into form. Showcat's coming into form. I think it's just going to be – I'm hoping it's just an onslaught of goals and them having fun.
I got to say, Showcat is probably one of the best nicknames in League One right now.
I'm very surprised that he is handling this heat so well.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was one of the big names that you circled in the beginning of the year and said, you got to watch this guy.
Yeah.
And he has been that guy.
He's been fun. Like when he gets into games, the craziness is just he's coming off the bench if he's playing, because that's how much depth we have in front of him at this point. We didn't have that last year. So it's crazy to see that even as a star player that he could potentially be, he's coming off the bench for North Carolina FC. And he finally got a chance to show what he can do with all the internationals out, and he performed. He did his job, and he did it well. So I'm hoping that means that we see him more coming up, get some more rotation going, because if we're playing this well come the end of the season and we're making a deep run, I cannot wait.
Yeah. It's a lot more fun when your team's good.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that was kind of like Yogi's comment in 2019. It was so hard to like do the podcast week in and week out when they were just dog shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you do this every week? But they've been good the last 3 years now. And so I think it's a little bit easier to log in every week.
True. Speaking of logging in, I think this is the biggest game of the weekend. I mean, I love my team, but this Union Omaha versus Greenville Triumph game, I think this is probably the game for both teams to help determine what they need, like overall for their season.
So I know we do chaos and vibes.
Yeah.
But I'll do a new one this year, and that's going to be the letdown game of the week.
Oh,
and that's going to be Union Omaha Greenville. So before the Omaha fans kill me, it's no knock on Omaha, it's no knock on Greenville. Jay doesn't like losing, but I think Jay also probably really wants to win against Kansas City. And so Jay I don't think it's one to play for a draw, but I think it's going to be one of those ones where, maybe Omaha goes up in the beginning, Greenville answers back, and it's like, okay, that's fine. We're just going to hang out here. I think we'll probably see some rotation. I don't know so we have Greenville at home, KC on the road Wednesday, and then Tormenta on the road Saturday. So I almost think that they're not going to come home from KC. They're probably going to fly out of KC down to Tormenta. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of if they rotate at all for this game or for Tormenta. And you got to pick one, probably, because this is a lot of games in a short time. I personally think it makes more sense to do it for Greenville, because the last thing you want is a guy to get hurt now before you play SKC. Especially because the table's so tight. Even if you give up 3 now, it's so close, and it's not like anybody's running away. We have games in hand. And so it's one of those, like, I know Omaha fans really want to win. Greenville fans really want to win. But I think it's going to be one of those games where it might just be like a gentlemanly draw at the end. And everyone's like, we're good. And I don't know. Like I said, I think the Omaha one always has a lot of hype. The fans like chirping at each other, but and everyone gets excited. It's a fun game, and I think it definitely is one where it might be a little bit disappointing this time, just because of the gravity of the game that comes a few days later.
See, my thinking was. And then I didn't factor in that you guys are going to SKC literally 3 days later. That, this was going to be your statement game where you guys are like, we're back in this league. Like we're coming to take the league back now because we have this momentum and we're doing this Open Cup run. And I forgot what day the Open Cup game was. Mm-hmm. So you're saying it's going to be a draw. I can go for that. I would love to see like a dogfight, but I can also understand why, as Omaha fans, you don't want that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, save that for your Tormenta game. I get it. I can go with that.
Right. And I think I love making excuses. Those are some of my favorite things to make. And I think if you're an Omaha fan and you lose this game, we won't lose a game, but if we did, and you're an Omaha fan, and you have Gio and friend of the program, Gio, chirping at you online afterwards, you just kind of say, well, Gio, you wouldn't understand. You guys have never played for a quarterfinal in the Open Cup, so we got to prepare for that. We can't worry about trifling little Greenville.
Oh, I can't wait for them to play this back on whatever podcast they do, just for that sentence alone.
Oh yeah, and also shout out to who gives a hoot for having on Brandon from Walk-In 90 in front of the program, Gio. I have not listened. I am sure that they brought some sensibility into that podcast and hopefully provided just as much homerism as the Omaha people provided. I'm not sure who was on that one for Omaha, but I'm sure it was if it's them knowing, it was probably pretty homerific.
If you can't be a homer for your own team, who knows?
For
and
sure.
Probably the chaos game of the week, Fuego versus Tucson. We're 10:30 at night. Those are pure CONCACAF times. CONCACAF after dark times. I feel like this game could go either way, and I hope it is as pure chaos as it gets, and we end with like 4-3.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bloodbath. Maybe not in the score sheet, but on the stat sheet. I don't know. I just don't. And this is no disrespect meant to Tucson, but I don't really think Tucson is good.
Yeah.
Like, and that's not trying to be harsh. I think, and that's a bigger conversation that I'm workshopping a bit, but it's kind of like the conversation of when there's parity in any league, you always have to ask the question, well, is there parity because the league is good, or is it because everyone's bad? And I think that's a question for later. But I think with Tucson, I just think they're not as good as the rest of the league right now. That could change. Things could start clicking. They could get some mid-season signing. But I just don't know. And I think it's going to be a tough fought game, but I think Fuego is going to win quite handily.
Yeah. I feel like there will be no defense involved with either team, purely because Fuego's going to go out, just shoot, and Tucson just doesn't have a defense.
Or an offense.
That's true. It will be chaotic.
Yes.
That we agree on.
Mm-hmm.
But you have Fuego. I have Fuego winning. I just think because they're going to be so focused on scoring, they're going to forget that the rest of the field exists. So Tucson's going to get at least one or two by them. So it will be high scoring for one team.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
It'll be fun, but that's a 10:30 kick, and I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, it's supposed to be like 100 degrees in Omaha, so I will be asleep when this happens because after the Omaha game, I'm going home and I'm falling asleep.
Yeah. And the last game of the weekend, Sunday, it'll be Tormenta versus Ford Madison. Tormenta's at home. Tormenta, as you talked about earlier, will be missing some key figures there. Ford just came off of a really good win. I'll call it a good win. Really good win versus Greenville. They're playing in a friendly as we speak. Are they sort of starting to click and figure it out? Maybe.
Well, I think the big thing for them is I think they were pretty toothless offensively for the beginning of the year. And so having a guy like Cassini, he was probably their big name signing coming in. You have Cassini and Thiam, I believe is how you pronounce his name, come in. And those are like the two guys they pointed at and said, these guys are going to be our studs. When Thiam was signed, they're like, he's the Golden Boot winner. He's going to run away with it. Then when Cassini signed, they're like, well, actually, he's going to win the Golden Boot. So they're like, these guys are good. They were not finding the back of the net for most of the season. So I believe the Greenville game, Cassini had a brace. For Tucson, I believe, when they won, Thiam had one of the goals. Yep. And then you've kind of had Bartman come out as a debutant who's been pretty good. And I'd say, like, before the last two games, he's probably the guy that I would have circled on the sheet and said, this is the guy that's going to cause problems. Well, now maybe they've got three guys that are going to cause problems. And, I think everybody knows that players can be a flash in the pan. There's always those guys that didn't do much, but you can point to one game and say, well, that game they were lights out. And if we can see that guy every game. And so I think that's the big thing. It's, Tormenta is a stout team defensively, which is not what most of us expected. We thought they would be the offensive juggernaut. Mm-hmm. But I think it's going to be interesting. I think if you're a Madison fan, this is definitely a game you want to look at. Tormenta's been a lot better than we all thought. They've been very good defensively, and we'll see what they can do. I know Madison added another defender with MLS pedigree to their team.
How?
Well, I think two of them played at UW.
Yeah.
And so I think they're kind of at the tail end of their career, which, that can be good and that can be bad. They definitely have had the talent to play at the top level in the United States, but at the same time, when guys get a little bit older, especially in a league like this with a lot of counterattack, if you're a step too slow, all of a sudden, like, you're not looking so hot. There's not a lot of traditional play from the back, offense, defense going on in this league. It's a lot of run-in, a lot of press, and a lot of counterattack. But, I think it'll be interesting. I think, I don't know. I think I don't like picking Madison to win games, especially over Tormenta, but I could see Madison winning this game like 2-1.
So I was also going to say 2-1. Looking at where we are in the standings, both sitting on 13 points, both with similar records, 3 wins, 3 losses, 4 draws. But how they got there is a little bit different. Forward is kind of coming into it. In the last 5 games, 2 losses, a draw, and then 2 wins. And Tormenta is coming in with 2 draws and 2 losses. They're trending different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So this game could be, like I think for the Greenville Omaha game, it could be the thing that helps them decide where they go within these standings.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's 1, 2, 3, 4 teams sitting on 13 points.
Mm-hmm.
It all comes down to goal differential, with Omaha leading it at 4, which is why they're in a playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
I think Forward is starting to figure it out. And like you said, they're finally scoring. Like they have the people up top that are doing their job. And I think this continues versus Georgia. And I also went 2-1 for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that in the league right now, there's only 3 teams that have a positive goal differential of more than 1. And in fairness, for Omaha, a lot of that's from that 3-0 shellacking of Fuego. For Richmond, they've had a couple blowout victories. And then Fuego, I don't know how their goal differential is that good when they've been blown out of the water a couple times. So it is weird. Like the league this year is just super, super weird.
Yeah.
And being at the third of the way through the season, we're getting very close to halfway through. And normally that's like the point where, the crystal ball clears up a bit. You kind of know who's good, who's got work to do, who doesn't have work to do. I don't think we're going to know that at the halfway point.
No, same, honestly. Like this league is too consistent, which is shocking to say about a League One. Like third division soccer is too consistent. Like every team can show up against anyone and fuck shit up. Like,
well, and even I was talking shit on Tucson. They're only 2 games out of first place, and they have a game in hand.
Yeah.
So, as bad as their season is going, like in the grand scheme of things, it's not that bad.
It all just feels like it's all rushed, but it's not any clearer on where people will be like at the halfway point. I guess that's better for the league. I think.
Well, makes it easy to tune in every week.
Yeah, it does.
No one's out, no one's in. And I think that's the big thing is every week it's a game that matters. There's not that game that you can say, well, I'm not going to watch that one. That game's going to be boring for my team. It's like, nope. I better pay attention when Omaha goes to Tucson because all of a sudden you get a red card and an own goal and it's a game. That is not a spot you thought you'd be in.
There's still hope for all teams, and it's the hope that gets you, though. So who knows?
But I think that's good, and I think especially with the World Cup coming up, and I think if you are a soccer league in the United States, 2026 is a date that everyone has circled on their calendar. And if I was down in Tampa Bay right now working for USL, you'd point to USL 1 and you'd say, if you want to bring a team into 1, look, you can be competitive even with like the Omahas who are in the Elite 8 of the Open Cup, with the Greenville who's been in the final every year of its existence, Richmond, former US Open Cup winner. It's just like all of these teams, like you can come in and be successful on the field, but off the field as well with growing attendances and everything else. And I think
you can even point to playing for national teams because you have it's an expanded field in 2026. There are a lot of players now being called up to their national teams from League One. Like we just had, 4 guys get called up? Greenville has had people before, Omaha, Georgia, these are real things where people can be like, you can develop here. And if you develop enough, you can go play in a World Cup or a Nations League or any of these things. So
exactly. And especially with the talent pipeline that's been built up the championship. Yeah. A lot of those guys who are studs in League One are studs in championship now. Yep. And I think that's huge for the leagues. It shows it's an alternate development path. It shows that there's talent in the league. And the fact that USL 1 had a better Open Cup record than USLC says a lot too. And it's real soccer being played here. And it's not just, people trying to fill in dates for a civic stadium that they run or something. It's real soccer with real passionate fans playing real sports and getting great results. And I think it's huge for the league. And I think that's the big thing, especially as expansion keeps happening in places that aren't the Southeast. So right now, I mean, if you're an owner in the Carolinas or like Virginia or Georgia, like why wouldn't you join League One?
Right.
Half your games are bus games.
It's like you get a weekend away every weekend because you're either going to the mountains or the beach. So
well, right. I mean, I think right now, if you're in that kind of Southeast area, Madison, Omaha, Tucson, and Fuego are the only games you probably have to fly to. Which is great. Which, if you're listening, Papa Papadopoulos, more teams in the Midwest, please.
Yes. I would love to see more teams out west. So give me some more.
Them too.
Yeah. Give me all the Cali teams. There's no such thing as too many Cali teams.
Right.
I would love to see a couple. Well, we have one Colorado team, but maybe a Vegas team that's not the lights and it's not as gimmicky. I think Texas could always use a couple more teams. I just want to see this league expand the way we know it can, because this is showing that we have competitive end-to-end games that make or break a season. Like, it's exciting to watch. Yeah. So.
And even, in our 3rd season under COVID, I think it's undeniable that the league's kind of had a sedative in its growth. It's crazy. The only independent team that's been added that wasn't an existing team, we have 2, and Fuego and NoCo. And even Fuego is kind of, depending on how you want to count that. So that's crazy. Like, this is the first year that there's been a new team in the league that is in Omaha, which is nuts because we were like the newest team for 2 years. But I think hopefully we hear some more stuff coming up. We have some exciting teams coming next year, in Lexington, and Fort Wayne, and I think Spokane's 24. But a lot of fun stuff happening, and if you want to learn more about League One, make sure to check out Walking 90 podcast every Thursday, alternating between YouTube and whatever Twitter calls their thing.
Space, is it still Spaces?
I think so.
The deep voice change, Chip. I love it.
The announcer voice.
I know, right? So before we head out of here, is there anything you want to plug? Obviously, Walking 90. I appreciate you coming on with me today to do this. Special thanks to Nick Holliday for joining us. If you're an NCFC fan and you're listening to my voice, please, we'd love to see you out. It's a homecoming. We're going to have some fun. And hopefully we walk out of that stadium with 3 points and lost voices, and we all go get Waffle House.
Yeah. And I think, we have kind of the super mega combo this weekend of Juneteenth and Pride. So I know for the Omaha game, for instance, it's our Pride month game as well as being Juneteenth. And so I know there's community organizations for Omaha. I'm sure there's community organizations for whatever team in the league you support, with notable exceptions. But, especially if you're a guy that looks like me, go out there and talk to the people that are there, listen, learn some stuff. And, I think that's like the big thing is it's one thing to talk about welcoming everybody and, wanting diversity and everything else, but it's another thing to like actually act and listen to some of the people trying to do that. And I think that's the big thing. Like a lot of these teams are doing a lot of really good work in their community, and see what you can do to be a part of it and help out organizations. And you can learn about some cool stuff going on in your city that you might not have known about. And so, yeah.
You bring it up. Forward is having their roundtable discussion and then their watch party, hosted by our own Kyle Carr.
Nice.
Also, NCFC has their festival before their game, where they've partnered with a few local Black businesses to bring out food trucks and business stands and all that. So that's really cool. And you said Omaha is doing something as well?
I know it's Pride, so they might be moving it to a different night just so that each thing has its own kind of deal. But I know that they're planning something later in the season for kind of the same thing. And back during Black History Month, they had a lot of education stuff going on with their staff. They went to a couple areas in the black part of town in Omaha, which is North Omaha, which is a historically like red line district. And, it's Omaha. And even if you're not in the South, I think that's always the interesting thing is a lot of these communities have really bad histories with redlining and persecution and everything else. And so it's not just a Southern thing, it's a Northern city thing too. And, I encourage you, if you're in Omaha, to kind of learn about some of that stuff and wherever you're at. And, and I think, again, education is the cure for ignorance.
Yeah. And if you are a team listening to this, you do not have to celebrate Pride and Juneteenth together. It is okay to separate the two. There's still time. Don't do it. I didn't really see anything from like a lot of these other teams. I think Greenville is doing something as well. Not quite sure. They don't really have a Juneteenth game, but they do have a Pride night coming up, which we will release all that kind of stuff later on. But you have a big game coming up after Greenville, which is the Open Cup. We kind of talked about it a little bit, but how are you feeling for that game? Like, I know you guys have bought the place out.
I'm very nervous.
Really cool.
Yeah, so the last I heard, we've sold like 800 some tickets, which is crazy. And the crazy thing about the 800 ticket number is the section kept selling out. So a bunch of people are just like buying random seats in the stadium. And so it'll be fun. They want everyone to wear Volt, so you'll be able to see us from space.
Jesus Christ. You showed me that photo of like the shirts and the scarves, and I'm like, this is so bright and it hurts my eyes, and we definitely will know you're there. So
right. I mean, if you're in Nebraska, you can use that shirt to go dove hunting, and it's bright.
it's bright as shit.
Which it'll be fun. It'll be fun seeing the giant scar of Volt across the stadium. So I know they're expanding seating into the south stands. There's a bunch of people going. Should be fun. I think the KC squad looks pretty vulnerable, even at full strength. Omaha's looked pretty good in all these Open Cup games. I know Kansas City, their offensive DPs are all injured and out for the year. So again, I think it plays well into Omaha's hand. Not that I think they're going to win necessarily. I want them to, but I think again, it plays into the hand of a team that maybe isn't super offensive minded. Omaha is very good defensively, and we're good on counterattack. And so far, that's been a good recipe for us in the Open Cup. But, and again, the interesting thing with Omaha KC is the storyline of KC is one of the 96ers teams.
Yep.
One of the original 10. They've been around forever. The joke on Omaha Twitter is that SKC advertises their games in Kansas City more than Omaha advertises our games in Omaha. Which, yeah, I mean, I don't think that's incorrect. They have billboards all over town, they're promoting the game, trying to get people to come down. And I know there's a lot of people that are conflicted about what team to cheer for. So I guess I would say, the SKC Brigade, which is our Sporting Kansas City supporters group here in town, I think got a really great point. They said, hey, it's a game where a lot of people are probably going to be conflicted on who to cheer for. And, if you want to cheer for Kansas City, no hard feeling are great. If you want to cheer for Omaha, no hard feelings. Only thing we ask is if you use the SKC tickets, you cheer for SKC.
Right.
And I think that's the big thing. It's like, cheer for whoever you want, but also fuck that. Cheer for Omaha. You're from here. Like, fuck KC. They've already won this competition. We've never won it. I think the stars somehow align that if we win this, we get to host if we want to. Which, how crazy would that be to host a semifinal Open Cup game in Omaha?
Dude,
against the Galaxy or Sacramento. Imagine Chicharito rolling out to fucking Warner Park.
That was literally me when the Galaxy came to, when we were the Railhawks, and they could not beat us. That is the feeling you will have, and it is so amazing. You will love life. I mean, I honestly, you don't think you win, but SKC is down bad right now, and they're second to last in the league in terms of supporter shield, but they're last in the West, and they just came off of a bad loss, and they're getting 1 day less rest than you because they play Sunday instead of Saturday, and they're playing a good Nashville team. So
I never said I don't think we're going to win. I'm just trying not to jinx it.
I'm sorry.
But I think, again, I think the feeling's definitely different. When we went into Chicago, it was definitely a lot of, when I was talking to the Chicago fans, great group of folks. Shout out to Jake from 50 Plus Donor. Talked to him for a bit. But, the conversation was, well, I'm just hoping for a moral victory. 1-0 late into the game. Maybe you guys score in the 80th minute plus, and, whatever. That's great. We go to Minnesota, kind of feeling the same thing of happy to be here. Glad that I'm not the only one from Omaha here. This should be fun. And then we win. And, this game is kind of why not us? We've beaten 2 MLS teams. It's not a fluke. I think Minnesota's, while they're not great, are better than SKC.
Yes. Yeah. 1,000%.
And they at least had offensive DPs on the field. They didn't do much, but they had them. And, it'll be interesting. And I think, I don't know. I'm excited, and I'm excited that so many people are going to their first Union Omaha game from Omaha, even if it's in KC. But hopefully going to a game makes them realize that the team that we have here in Omaha is special. It's not just guys playing minor league soccer. These are professionals trying to play the best soccer they can for the city of Omaha. And hopefully it's a big turning point in our franchise. And, you start seeing that support come out every single week because, how awesome would it be if every single one of those 800, 1,000 people came to every single Omaha home game?
Right.
That'd be awesome.
Well, you have a league rooting for you guys, which I know hurts a couple Ford fans.
Except for Dave Varna. He's not cheering for us.
No. But it's okay. All right. I want to thank everyone who has came in, watched/listened to us this week. We will have a full show. This felt like a full show. It was over an hour. And we hope that both teams have fun. But I hope Charlotte loses.
Fair.
All right, everybody. Peace.